Hello, Simon here, and this is Maia 0.63. There's a lot of features gone into this build, so I'm going to do a bit of a let's play and show off some of them, as well as some gameplay. So first of all, I need to pick my colonists. Someone with maintenance will be useful, so they can fix things to a higher standard. Emergency medicine will be useful for helping people get sick. Surface walking will allow people to walk quicker in their suits, and firefighting will put out fires quicker. So there's a lot of changes in this build. I'm going to get my workshop up and running quickly so I can start talking about them. So I'm going to build 2 smelters so we can get materials up and running, and my workshop table so we can start building things. I'm going to place a door so we can start digging out a new area. Now we've got this new area dug out, well, set for dug out. We can leave that and start talking about things. So there's a lot of little details gone in, a lot of clickable items now. So for example, the ration pack can be clicked and it pops open and you can see how many rations are left remaining inside it without actually having to mouse over to count the kilojoules of energy remaining. I'm going to place my wind turbine so I can get some energy into my base. And then once my colonists have finished dawdling, I'm going to build my hydroponics. First of all, I'm going to move these water barrels just to the back of the room so they're not using up so much space and we can put more minerals in there. So we'll build a hydroponics. Hydroponics has been balanced somewhat. The plants, I've rejigged the values of energy that each plants give, effectively based on kind of more accurate guesstimates. But as such, the plants all now give mostly a little more energy, specifically the potatoes, because I've changed the breed of the potatoes in the game to a higher energy one. So placing them will give us plenty of food now, as food needs have been rebalanced. I'm going to place an atmosphere generator in here quick. One of the key changes in the game is the length of the day has changed, and this means that colonist needs aren't ramping up so quickly, so food and water are no longer an immediate issue. You've probably got about 30% more time. We've gone from 240 seconds per day to 360 seconds. It does make solar powered bases a bit more difficult, and it does also make power management slightly more difficult too, as even with wind turbines, the early morning kind of lull in the wind can be more problematic. So we're going to place a space heater in the hydroponics, and we've got some creature migration reports. So these alien creatures are coming closer to my base. However, they should be alright. I'm not going to build any defenses for them yet, although we can build a turret later in the game. Just going to check what other aliens I have around. So not many on this map, which is good. Another small and important change is the windowing system of the game has changed. So if you're on Linux now, you can do full screen and flicking between full screen a lot easier without it messing things up. There's also a lot of kind of small interface changes. You'll notice the mouse cursor not intersecting too badly with buttons, and things like text being more readable. This guy's building the wind turbine. And our smelters are being filled but not turned on for some reason. Probably the colonists currently have enough building material. So I can go to the building material stockpile and just turn that down so they'll use up the ones that are sat in this storage room rather than hoarding them. And I will leave everything else as is and call in some more colonists. One other thing in the GUI you'll notice is this pause button, so I can now pause the game and unpause it at will. And although pause has always been in the game, now it plays nice with the building interface, so you can actually use it to pause the game, place items, and then press play. So if you find the game slightly too stressful, you can use that to play it at your own pace. So we have a solar event incoming, which always good for update videos, because it will mean my base will be taken out for a few minutes. So cutting forward in time, I'm going to place some repair bots for my base, as we need to get things repaired. You notice the rendering outside is quite nice now, very atmospheric. That's been improved since last month's update. So I need more robots. So I'm going to place a nano printer in this side of the room. Oh, and one of our smelters has gone up in flames. Hopefully that woman will go on a spacesuit and... Oh no, she's having a cry instead. I think she is upset about having damaged the equipment, or the shock of the event. So you notice that due to the day changes, colonists just get on with a lot more, because before, say if they wanted to eat, eating would effectively take, they'd need a minute to go to the storage room, a few seconds to eat, and then a minute to go to the next task. They'd effectively be spending a quarter of a day fulfilling that one need, and potentially if they were very hungry, they'd want to eat twice, and then they would have no more time for anything. So having a slightly longer day just takes that pressure off and actually makes the AI a lot more efficient. So I'm going to place a living area, and we want some food preparation stations. 2 will probably be overkill for the moment, but that should be fine. One thing I'm not going to do is place any heating in this room, because everything that uses electricity, of course, eventually puts that out as heat. And this is a key thing that I need to explain to her in the tutorial a bit better, that entropy is effectively simulated. So you need to be thinking about where the energy is slowly flowing out of your base. You notice little click reactions on the minerals. One of my favourite click reactions is on the condenser, which I've just placed. So we've got people starting to gain skills because they've been building quite a lot. So I'm just going to prioritize this work light so that gets built quicker, and the condenser is now finished, so I can show you this effect that I was talking about. When clicked, it just has a little bit of running water, which is massively overkill, since no one will ever notice the level of detail there. But that's the thing, like everything in the game will eventually have these little click reactions, even if they're not exactly gameplay related. It will be about just kind of bringing everything to life. So I want to build a screen on the wall over here. So we can get the temperature readings from the rooms without actually having to look at them. So I've got my colonists coming in. I'm just looking around to see if there's any geothermal vents, because obviously if there's a geothermal vent, we can place a generator on it and get more power, more stable power. So that seems to be an issue with our base at the moment. So I'm going to place some solar arrays instead. If I place the portable ones, they don't require building, so they can be placed pretty quickly by the colonists. Just check the ration packs. So they're actually still mostly full. I'm going to place some doors so we can start expanding the base a bit more again. And dig out some more areas. Do we even read the emails they send? No. So I want to build a flywheel storage as power generation. For us it seems to be quite lumpy. We have a lot of it, but it keeps going up and down. I'm going to turn off the space heater, and I'll turn off other items that I can. Both those food preparation stations using 1200 watts. So I'll turn off the atmosphere generator too, and I will turn off this light. But sadly we still don't have enough power, so that we probably don't have enough wind at the moment. But the colonists are building our solar panels, so once we have the ability to store them, we will have enough power. Flywheel generators can now be locked, so you can click on them and they will continue to charge, but they will not discharge unless they are unlocked, which allows you to kind of create banks of flywheels for kind of special occasions. For instance, when your power gets knocked out. So a lot of colonists buildings getting skills in building, getting some very long emails, because the colonists can be much more productive now. So when they list the things that they've done in a day, it's actually quite a long list. I'll probably cull that down before this goes out into the general release. So as you can see, the colonists have actually filled up the food preparation stations quite a lot, although they're not generating food yet because we don't have enough power. Getting hit by a earthquake by the sound of it. So we're going to place a few more solar arrays, the less temporary ones, which will generate more electricity because they track the sun. The snow also won't help, that will actually reduce our generation potential. Let's keep a close eye on the colonists eating the rations. One of the most interesting changes that I've made in terms of the colonist simulation, apart from all the AI of course, is that their body's heat loss and energy use has changed quite substantially, because I was using some back-of-the-envelope ratios for things like heat loss and energy loss due to kinetic movement, but because I wanted to balance it and things weren't perfectly balanced, I just effectively decided to simulate them all accurately. So what this means is convection, conduction and radiation are all actually simulated far more realistically, probably far more realistically than they need to be. But someone moving, for example, will lose a lot more heat quickly because they don't have a thin layer of air around them that's slowly heating up. This guy's going to get hypothermia because he's sitting on the floor, he's not moving, but at the same time he's going to lose a lot less heat from convection because the air around him is going to stop moving so much. And the radiation and so the temperature of air that you're in and the composition of the air will actually affect how quickly you lose heat into it. So I'm going to call more colonists down. And they're getting on with building those solar panels, so hopefully we'll get the power online. Having a base that blacks out a lot is dangerous because it obviously can damage electronics in the base. And our grid's disrupted by a solar flare at the moment as well. As you can see, the info tips outside are glitching out because of the solar event. But our colonists are getting on with stuff, so we're going to build another imp. You notice that smelter has two sets of materials in it because someone with construction skills has been using it so they can generate more materials. So we've built some beds because our colonists are obviously going to start getting very tired because they've gone 4 days without having any sort of rest. And that's why that guy was sitting on the floor. You can see our hydroponics is growing nicely. This guy's gained a skill in cooking, which will be useful. We're expanding now because we want to build a control room so we can increase the limit of colonists that we have. It also lets us build the map table, which is a good way of getting kind of situational awareness of the larger map. I'm grabbing an imp and I'm going to go into first person because I just want to get this digging started. I'm just going to dig through. Although I'm now surrounded by dust, so I can't see what I'm doing. And I've turned edge detection off on the rendering, so it's harder to see. But I'll just dig out a few more blocks. So that'll probably do, so we'll just quit out of the imp. And we have a request waiting. Would we like to listen to his avant-garde electronic music? Probably not, to be honest, but let's have a listen. So we've got meteors coming down, which are an issue because they can endanger people outside. And those imps are digging out stuff nicely now. So again, food preparation and stuff's working well. A lot of this thing's been balanced since last time. I mean, a lot of really grindy balance to make sure the colonists don't need constant nudging for you to get them in the way. So rations getting used up, but not too quickly. Plenty of minerals. Got one thing of building materials there at least. I could build another ration pack. I'm a bit concerned about blocking off the routes through this room, as they'll have to walk around and it'll be less efficient. Build more imps, and I can see a guy limping there. But we'll have a medical room up and running pretty soon. That woman's already built a bed for the medical room. Although we have had a low temperature warning, so I'm actually going to place a space heater on the wall rather than an atmosphere generator, because we've probably got plenty of atmosphere. Some more migration events. Read our power reports. So we've got a huge amount of generation now, although I suppose that's only during the day. I think I just spotted a dead creature, or maybe it was sleeping. The diseases and things are slightly more balanced as well now. You'll see a wider range of things. Although as such you need to be more aware and keep a lookout for people getting sick and for hints in emails. So we'll build our command and control, which will allow us to build more colonists. Build more colonists? Request more colonists. And as you can see, the colonists have just been running fine for the game so far. And oh, so this is interesting. This is a probe. This is a lost probe. If anyone recognizes the design, you get a prize. So they're just around the place waiting to be found and picked up. Okay, so we have someone with high blood pressure. So clearly he's being overly stressed and might have a poor diet as well. Although it's easily treatable. High blood pressure in itself is not going to make someone very ill. If someone wants to make the imps autonomous, I'm going to click no. High blood pressure won't make you particularly ill, but it will lead onto secondary illnesses from that. We found a fossil, so we should get our research room built. And then we can start collecting information, and we can get the research information from that probe that we found. We have another colonist in the scanner again. Be interesting to see what's wrong with them. So this person's suffering from depression. So there are lots of different causes for depression, but things like ensuring more time for social interactions, changing the lighting of the base to kind of warmer. Obviously you can change the brightness of every room as well. So there's that guy with the limp there, still limping about. I'll be interested to see what's wrong with him, because we haven't had many earthquakes, so he may have a broken bone. Or something more interesting. So we want tape storage, so we can store research when we get it. Flora sample containers, and a terminal computer, so we can actually enter the data and get the research. So So we've got our map table. Looking, it's interesting, we've actually got a base that is the kind of middle of a hourglass kind of shape, so we can actually leave on the other side as well. Although interestingly, we don't have any creatures nearby, which would be shown as red blips on the thermal mapping mode. Interestingly, so we've just received 2 medical reports in one go, and so this guy has irradiation. Although it says it might be to do with the reactor here, it's probably more to do with us sending him outside on a surface walk during a solar event, and that has obviously had his DNA damaged by some stray particles. One of the other cool features, which is very rare to see now, but I wanted to add to the game anyway, is AWOL Colonists. If they run out of hope and you're not managing the base well, they haven't had enough social interaction, they haven't had enough rest, and there's no food left, and if they don't like the other colonists they're around, they might actually just decide to leave, and you'll get a colonist just wander off because they don't want to burden the colony anymore. And on that really bright note, I'm going to end this video. So check out the build. It's currently discounted on Steam as well if you want to pick it up or get it for a friend. I will be back with 0.63 soon, and enjoy the game, and I'll see you later.